seventh graders, using the rules that we just talked about, we can now determine if the signs of these problems should be positive or negative. So we have 23/45 and negative 23/45. They are unlike signs, so we would subtract, and when you subtract those, you actually get 0. So our answer would be neither positive nor negative. The sum is 0. Okay, in this problem, we can see that A is negative because it is to the left of 0, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's about -8, so we can just estimate and say it's -8, and B looks like it's about +3. Okay, so we make sure we have our plus in the middle, put the -8 in parentheses. Now using our rules, 3 is positive, 8 is negative, they are unlike. So we would subtract, 8 minus 3 is 5. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 8 is bigger than 3, and that sign is negative. So we put a negative on there. It's going to be a -5. So the sign of the answer is negative. Okay, on this next link, we're still using our rules to solve the problem. We have -3 plus -3. Those two numbers are both negative, so it's like signs. So following our rules, we add them together. 3 plus 3 is 6. Keep the original sign since they're both negative. The original sign is negative, so our answer would be a -6. Okay, we have a +7 and a -5. Those signs are unlike, so we would subtract. 7 minus 5 is 2. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 7 is bigger than 5, and its sign is positive. So our final answer is just a +2. All right, now we are subtracting. One thing to remember, when you have two negatives right next to each other, they actually make a positive because you're subtracting, so you're going to the left, but then this other negative makes you switch directions and you actually go to the right. So I would rewrite that as -7 plus 3. Now that we have a plus in between, we can look at the signs. We have a -7 and a +3. They're unlike, so we would subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 7 is bigger and it's negative, so the sign of our final answer is going to be a -4. Okay, again, we want to put a plus in between, so we'll rewrite that as -1 plus -9. Now we look at the signs, we can see they're both negative. That means they are like, so we'll add 1 plus 9 is 10. Keep the original sign. They're both negative. The original sign is negative, so the sign of our final answer is going to be negative. We get a -10. Okay, then we get to some fractions. So we're going to apply the rules that we've talked about, but now we're also going to be using fractions. Okay, so it gets a bit more complex, but not too bad. So we have -5/12. These two negatives right here make a positive, so that turns into plus 9/3. Now we need a common denominator. What is the smallest number that 12 and 3 both go into? And that's actually going to be 12. That would be the least common multiple. Okay, so we already have 12 here, so we don't have to do anything with that one. That's just going to stay -5/12. Over here, we have to multiply 3 times 4 to get 12. And what we do to the bottom, we also have to do to the top. So we multiply by 4. 9 times 4 is 36. Now we look at our signs. We have a plus in the middle. Look at our signs. We have a negative and a positive, so we know we need to subtract. So we subtract our numerators. 36 minus 5 is 31. We get 31 over 12. Keep the sign of the bigger number. 36 is bigger than 5. So the sign of our answer is going to be positive. So we get a positive 31/12 for our final answer. Okay, let's do one more of those. We have negative 3/5 plus negative 8/2. Okay, again, we need a common denominator. The least common multiple between 5 and 2 is going to be 10. So we multiply 5 times 2 to get 10. We have to do the same thing on top. We get negative 6/10. We have to multiply 2 times 5 to get 10. We do the same thing on the top. We get negative 40/10. Now we can use the rules. We look at the signs, they're both negative. So we have to add, keep the original sign. 40 plus 6 is 46. Original sign is negative, so we include that, and the denominator is 10. We can leave it like that, or we can change it to a mixed number. Actually, I think we do have to reduce, so we can divide both of those by 2. 46 divided by 2 is 23. 10 divided by 2, I'll write that on here, is 5. So negative 23/5 is our most simplified answer. And Khan Academy always wants the most simplified answer. So we'll plug that in.